Hello, my name's Norris with carwashforsale.net, and I'm here with Tammy and Joanne. They are the former owners of Shamyville Car Wash, but before that time, you guys have owned a car wash for 12 years.
Yes, that's correct.
What has kind of stopped a lot of the women from getting in the business, do you think? Is it?
I think that it has always been perceived as a male industry, and so there's women in the industry, but they work alongside of their husbands. I just think that it's perceived as a male industry.
But I mean, here you have a very successful car wash,
Yes.
so you know how to manage it, and you would think that because of your success, more women would step up to the plate, because from my understanding, the statistics that I've read, 80% of the assets of the United States is not owned by men, but it's owned by women. So what's your thought?
But I just don't think that women, it's a industry that women look into. And they wouldn't know that, oh, let's go own a car wash.
But how did you get involved in it? Because you weren't in the car wash business before,
No.
12 years ago.
No, we weren't.
I had to go back to work, and Tammy said, I've always wanted to own a car wash. And I went, okay.
Is that right? So,
Yes.
Yes.
And we started looking at a piece of property in another city, and we knew the people that owned the car wash we've had.
so you were more motivated to work.
Yes, I needed to go back to work, and I did not want to, I wanted to work for myself.
So you really
I loved
did,
it.
but you really didn't care if it was a car wash or what, just as long as it was a business that you guys could
Yes.
operate.
And we love people. So see, I just do a lot of walking around, Norris. Can't see me.
So tell me when the guy, or you approached the, well, actually it was a woman that owned it
Two
before.
I approached the two women that owned Shamyville before. I knew that we knew them as friends. I approached them after we had looked at the piece of property just to see what it took to own a car wash, to open a car wash.
And build it. We
And
could
build
build.
it. We were going to build it. And the piece of property that we were looking at, it's a really funny thing, because when we went back to look at it, it was in a city close to the one we're in, but not in the same city. There was a sign up that they were building a car wash on that same piece of property. So I called Joanne, and it was sort of like, oh, well, obviously it's not meant to be. But I had already called the two ladies that owned it before us. She called me back and said, we want to sell the car wash.
Oh, wow.
And we were at the right place at the right time, and
We jumped on it.
we jumped in there, and have never looked back in 12 years.
So when you first got into the business, I mean, you know, number one, it's kind of a man's business.
Right.
That didn't intimidate you at all?
Not at all. It takes a lot to intimidate us. That did not intimidate us at all.
So when you stepped, the first day that you went there, what, can you remember that
Oh,
day?
I remember it like it was yesterday. And
The car wash had been closed for 9 days. We closed on a Friday. The car wash had been closed for 9 days. It had rained for 9 days prior to that. The previous owners said, you don't know what is going to happen. The next day we opened up, they were lined up for a mile down the road. And Joanne and I are the type, we did not want any of our guys to come to us and say, well, you don't know what it's like to vacuum, or you don't know. We were out there from 7:30 in the morning to 6 o'clock at night, driving cars on, vacuuming.
wiping down.
As a matter of fact, I have a very funny story. My husband happens to be a surgeon, and I was out there vacuuming cars, and my people that I would know would pull up, and I knew they were walking away going, oh, I guess Dr. Nakamura is not very busy these days. His wife's out here vacuuming. Not that I care what people think. That's
Right.
just not my personality.
Right.
But it was just so that day, we vacuumed, drove cars around, did whatever the guy, changed the oil, did
And
whatever.
the guys are training us.
Along.
They're training us, telling them this is the way you do it. We were determined that we wanted to know how to do everything there was to do in that car wash.
I bet that built a lot of respect
You
from
bet.
the employees, knowing the bosses, especially even whatever they are, men or women. getting out there and getting dirty.
Oh, yes.
Exactly. But we wanted to know every aspect of the business, which we've
Right.
come to know in 12 years.
And we've kept the same managers.
That's amazing.
And I think back on one of the reasons that our car wash did so well with women, we were out there. As I left today, I happened to see two of our customers that have been customers for 12 years. We were out there talking to every customer. We made them feel like when they walked in that door, they were the only people there.
Right.
And they have told us that for years. New car washes have been built up around their houses, but they say, I had one tell me yesterday, I still come back here because when I come here, you girls treat us like we are special. And that's what it is. So whether you're a man or whether you're a woman, you need to make them, and you don't find that in a lot of business.
No.
I know when I've been out and checked out, that is $15.95, please, ma'am. Is that credit or debit?
We can use it as credit.
Credit? All right, it works for me. Do you keep one of our little punch cards?
Yeah, I have one. I don't have it with me right now.
Here, let me get it for you.
Okay.
Give you another one, and when you find it, just put it together.
Okay.
You usually don't see an owner at a car wash.
Right.
They're in the back, and Tammy and I have worked that for many, many years, that we want them to see our faces, plus the employees, you know, and if, it doesn't matter what needs to be taken care of, Tammy and I would never ask one of our employees to do something that we would not do. And customers love seeing us, and we get out there and talk and do what it takes.
Well, the learning curve was pretty dramatic, wasn't it? I mean, to learn in such a short time, or was it a...
We were so excited. I think we just absorbed it because it was something so new and exciting and fun, and that I didn't ever walk away any days going, oh, I don't think I can do this.
No.
Never.
We loved it. I mean,
Loved it.
We've been talking about we will be sad because, I mean, we learned something new every day, enjoyed it. We'd go to the car wash conventions. We didn't go every year, but they knew that those were the girls from Shambyville.
Oh, they called us
That's
the
what
car
it
wash ladies.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Here come the car wash ladies.
right.
The two blondes.
Now, what about the equipment? Equipment breaks down. I mean, you know, you've got the big conveyor, you've got mittens, you've got things that constantly,
Yes.
what happens there?
We have great managers, and they always would have to come into us and say, you know, the conveyor's gone down and we need to get it up and running, and they would get prices for us. We'd look at the price, and we had a good reputation or a good contacts in the car wash business, and they knew they couldn't basically rip us off. I mean, Tammy and I were going to look at the bill and say, okay, yes, do it. And
Yeah, I noticed you're very detail oriented, and you watch your numbers like a hawk.
It was funny because when we first got in the business, there was a company that came in, and they were selling, what were they selling? Products.
Chemicals?
Chemicals. And when the guy first walked in the door, he thought, oh, this is going to be easy. We've got two blonde women here. Well, he kind of went out with his tail between his legs when Joanne got finished with him. And it's usually me, but Joanne kind of let him know real quickly that just because we're two ladies, it doesn't work that way.
said, we won't be doing business with you.
Right, because of, you know.
And I think it was respect, too. People respected us. We weren't just two women that owned a car wash and didn't have anything to do with the car wash. We were very, very, very involved in everything.
What is the biggest challenge that you've had, say, over the last 12 years? Is there something that kind of sticks out that just, oh my God, what happened here?
You know, I want to answer that question because we have people say that to us. They'll say, well, aren't you glad you're getting rid of the car wash business? I'm sure there were a lot of headaches. I can honestly look back and say, yes, there were a couple of things that would come up, but nothing. There's nothing that I can look back and say was a challenge in the business because we took the small challenges that we had, faced them head on, dealt with them, moved on, but nothing. It has been 12 years of just a fun business.
I would say on challenge for me was, and it was very few and far between, is you'd get a customer every now and then that no matter what you did, you could not please them. And to me, that is, I mean, it's a funny story because at first, when we first bought it, I don't like confrontation. I'm not saying Tammy does, but she could handle it a lot better than I. Customer would come in yelling, I'd cry. I would cry because nobody ever yelled at me, and I'd cry and go up.
I said, you've got to get over that.
She goes, you better, and I did. I learned how to, not get back in their face, but stand up for us, stand up for the boys that worked for us, and there's just certain customers, no matter what you did, they were just miserable people.
You can't please them no matter what.
Right.
And so I do agree with Joe, and that's probably, there were days where it was like, and you knew you didn't do that to their car, but if they've been in the car wash for the last 6 months and something goes wrong, you did it to their car.
Right.
So you did have to learn just to let them know that it wasn't done there, or else you would go into bankruptcy very
Right.
quickly.
One of my friends said one of the biggest challenges that he had was when his conveyor chain broke
Yeah.
and it was filled with cars. He said he was about ready to lose it, but they got it fixed, but it was just that
That's-
pressure
Right.
of all those cars in the conveyor, and then all the cars lined up. And he said it always happens on a Saturday,
Oh, of
or the
course.
business, it never
Business.
happens on the slow days.
Or when
And
one of
we
the
have things here
lines
that-
would break and
Hydraulic hose would
hydraulic
break.
fluid was all over. But you just got to the point, I mean, we have such great employees. They've worked for us. Actually, they work for the old owners and still work for us. They just know how to handle the situations.
You know, I've got another guy, of course, I travel all over the country, and he last year went through 200 employees. And I'm thinking, you're not doing something right. Now, how do you keep your key people? I mean, what's the secret?
You respect them and you treat them the way you want to be treated, and you're good to them.
And you take care of them.
You take care of them. And I mean, we've been with these boys for a long time, and it doesn't matter whether it's a personal issue. They felt comfortable enough to come to us, and there's many issues that have come up where, like one of our main guys, his baby got real sick, 2 weeks old, and we're like, you don't worry about it. You stay at that hospital, you will get paid, and don't think twice about this place. We've got it covered. And that's what it is. You have to treat your employees right, and they're going to treat you.
Customers, which our employees take care of our customers, and that's something they've told us for years.
Do you think it's because you care?
Yes.
I believe it starts from the top. In
Oh,
any
yeah.
business, whether it's the car wash business, any business, it starts from the top. And it's all about customer service. You can have anything and make it successful if you give good customer service.
Right.
If you don't, there's 10 on every other corner.
Right.
And it's all about customer service.
And I just lost my train of thought.
I lose that all the time.
Can you edit that out?
Yeah.
What is the difference? Do you think there's a different style between a man and a woman?
I do.
I
Very
do
much
too.
so.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Joe.
Yes.
And what
I
is
mean,
it?
when we would say, I'll give you an example. When say it's a rainy day and we're closed down, that's when we do any repairs, cleaning. Well, and the guys managers that get paid salary would stay, and we'd say, okay, we want this done, and what they think is clean, we don't. Women are different. So when you're in the business of cleaning cars, we're a lot pickier, I think, than men would be. And
I mean, we would have them up cleaning the tops of the fans.
right,
Because our opinion is if you can't keep the place clean,
right.
you can't, people have the perception that, well, they can't clean their cars. And we have people that will move to North Dallas that will still come back and say, there is not a car wash anywhere like yours. We've been to them all.
And we've trained the guys the right way, and also ourselves is, you know, we would check cars. We like say on a real busy day, we'd be out there checking a car. We want to catch that car if it wasn't vacuumed the right way, or if the windows, before the customer has to say, I'm not happy. And those guys know to run it back through if it didn't get clean enough. And we train them. I'm not saying we train them that way, but they knew that's how we like it. That's what our customers want. And so yes, I think men are different. Women are just like the little extra.
Whereas a man might concentrate more on the equipment in the tunnel, we concentrate more on having that customer leave the property. And that's out of 21. Here you go, sir. 21. Let me stamp this for you.
Thank you so much.
Well, and we sure do appreciate your business. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
You are more relationship oriented.
Very much so.
Wow.
Very much.
You know, if a woman wants to get into business, but has no clue where to begin, how did you guys decide and look into this and move forward in the car wash industry?
And we didn't specifically at first say we wanted a car wash. That's just what we ended after we had looked
We knew
at
we
some.
wanted to own a business.
Right. So I think that if you can run most any business. I mean, a car wash business is something that is a lot of fun. You develop relationships with your customers. You don't have to be there every minute. If you have good managers, that
Right.
is,
That's
and
the
you
key.
train them for that. And that's something, it would be very good for women, because if you have children, you can leave and go to their baseball game, or leave and go to their ballet recital, as long as you have someone good that's working for you. So that, I mean, that in itself would be a good business for women, so that they could do that.
And that was when we
That's what
were
we looked at.
looking to get into a business together. One of stipulations was we needed something that we could, because we both had little kids, and we needed something that we could be flexible if we needed to be.
Because the guy's thinking, well, the wife's going to take
Right,
care of it,
exactly.
and so you guys have to look at, oh, well, I'm taking care of the family, so it's
Right. And it was perfect. I mean, it was so good. Our kids were going to private school right next to the car wash. We could drop them off in the morning. We could walk over, bring them over to the car wash. It was just perfect for both of us with our young children.
Okay. Let's see here. These are such great answers. Just a second here.
It's a great story.
Mm-hmm.
It is. It's fabulous. This is unbelievable. Since you've been in the business for 12 years, what changes have you seen? Whether it's the business, relationships with customers, or employees. I mean, 12 years is a long time, and what have you seen? The changes.
Well, one of the changes that I've seen is that people expect, we live in a society that people don't take responsibility for themselves. So therefore, anything that's gone wrong with their car, they say that you've done it. And that's where you just have to explain that to them. You know, we've been told that we're going to be sued numerous times, and that's something that I've seen more and more over the years.
Do you think it's because of these shows they have on TV, you know, Judge Judy or
Oh,
I think it's that people don't have to take responsibility for themselves. I mean, we still teach our children, you can make any decisions you want, but you have to face the responsibility, and you have to face the consequences of the actions that you take. Well, a lot of people don't teach their children that. And therefore, when something doesn't go their way, well, I'll sue you. Well, do what you need to do. So I've seen that more and more. If somebody would have told me, 15 years ago that they were going to sue me, I would have been devastated. Well, now, unfortunately, it's like, do what you need to do.
right.
So that's one of the things that I've seen change over the years.
But you said responsibility, taking responsibility.
Mhm.
You're seeing people are becoming more irresponsible, or what?
Just not taking responsibility for their actions, meaning like
They
if
want to blame somebody. They want to blame it on somebody else. So they
like their car's over in a parking lot across there and a basket comes and hits them. Well, they don't look at their car until it goes through the car wash to make sure it's clean, then they blame it on the car wash doing it.
Now, do you have ways to check that to make sure?
You can tell a lot. I mean, you can tell how long the paint's been off of it. I mean, during this 12 years, you can look at something. And we've done things to cars. I'm not saying we haven't.
Right.
We pay for them. But we're not paying for everything done in that city.
Well, what about employees? Have you seen a difference in employees?
I really haven't.
Because we've had so many
We've
of the
had
same
so many,
employees.
and not just my salary guys. We have several hourly guys that have been there for a while.
Detail was in front. They've just been with us a long time. And so, I mean, we've seen some come and go. I mean, you have to watch because you'll get a few of them that will still change out of cars and do all of that. And you catch them and then you move them on.
Right.
So employees, I can't really see
No,
where there's a lot of
employees,
difference in the years.
What about equipment? Have you seen any difference in equipment?
Well,
Or styles of washes or anything that,
Equipment wise, when we've gone to some of the conventions, obviously in 12 years it's changed, but then Tammy and I, 3 years ago, gutted the tunnel and put in brand new equipment. You have to stay up with the times. I mean, you have to,
but it doesn't always mean newer is better. I mean,
Right.
just like in some of the procedures that my husband does, he thinks the old way is the best way to do it.
Right.
And sometimes you can have and put in all this money and all this new equipment, but it doesn't mean the car's going to be any cleaner. A lot has to do with the guys looking at the cars out front and making sure they go out clean. So, I mean, you can get caught up in all of that and spend a lot of money, but I don't necessarily think it's better all the time.
now do you guys prep your car before it goes in?
yes.
Yes.
And is there a reason for that? Now, I know some guys that would not prep a car no matter what.
It's,
I mean, what's the reason for it?
you get a lot of the dirt off when you prep it, and if you ever have been behind with their prepping the car, they go up under the tire wells, and going through a car wash, you're not going to get all that mud off, and then they'll treat the rims of your tires and to get all the brake dust off, and well, there isn't little equipment going in between all the to get it. So prepping is a big plus.
It's a different philosophy. All different car washes have a different philosophy. But the bottom line is, if the customer leaves a car wash and their car is clean, they don't care how it gets clean.
Right.
They just know when they drive out of that car wash, they want it to be clean. And that's what the ultimate goal of anybody that owns a car wash is. And that customer is happy and that they will return.
I think a lot of the car washes that have, not all of the new ones coming up, but there's, they have the touchless, and the customer stays in the car. Well, Tammy and our philosophy has always been, you got to get your hands on the car, because in a lot of car washes are trying to cut back on employees. That's it. Well, if you put this equipment in, your payroll drops this much money. Well, our payroll might be a little higher than some car washes, but it's because our guys, it's hands-on. It's not the equipment doing everything. You got to have the good guys in there wiping them down.
What can you say to a woman that's thinking that, should I even consider getting into the business? I mean, can you give her any?
I'd say go for it.
I would too.